and we're going to bring it home. And it's people like you, Eva, that are making it so easy for us to really show the enthusiasm. And I actually would love to ask you about that. What does it mean to you as a Texan to really talk about your politics in a way that actually is validated and listened to? Like, how have you managed that throughout your time and your involvement?
Well, I've been politically active since I was 17. I remember I wasn't old enough to vote when I was when I was 17 was an election year, and I had to wait 4 more years. So I was so upset. But I've been volunteering for campaigns my entire life. My family was politically active. We're, take our civic duty very seriously. And, people sometimes go, oh, you're a celebrity, shut up and act. But, I'm an American. And I'm a patriot, and I'm a proud American, and I love this country a lot. And we should all have a say in what happens with policies that affect people. At the end of the day, it affects people. And I think, everybody should participate. If you're a dentist, if you're a teacher, if you're a union worker, whatever you do, policy affects every part of our lives.
Absolutely. It's been so cool. On this show, I've actually had several people running for the U.S. House, and I realized how important it is that we have people from all backgrounds, not only voting, but representing us, so that we can really create a federal government that understands all the issues. Mm-hmm. And it's so refreshing to see all these new people on the ballot from these different backgrounds that really are bringing Texas perspective all the way up to the federal government. And I just love all the involvement that we've really been able to outreach to and to hear about.
Yeah, and I also think that you bring up a really good point of the diversity of Texas. Texas is very diverse. I think people often picture a different Texas in their head, but it is full of immigrants. It is full of, I'm 9th generation Mexican American. There's so much diversity across the state. It's obviously a big state. North, south, east, west is all different. There's different accents within one state. I mean, it's a very special state, and so it's really been interesting to see the Hindu population grow, the Indian population grow. There's so much coming to Texas. I think didn't y'all get a Tesla plant recently in Austin?
Yes. Yeah. Yesterday confirmed the plan. So we're going to have now producing Teslas in Texas. Yeah. We also have some of the biggest wind and solar energy farms in the country right here.
Yeah. And that's progress. That's Texans demanding change. That's Texans saying, hey, we know where the future lies and we're not going to be left behind.
Well, there's no doubt. And even, one of my favorite things about Texas is like the food here. You can really get the top food in the country from all over the world right here. Like, you actually brought up Shri, and he's running a campaign in 27 languages.
Wow, yes.
And it's so cool. He's finally reaching out to people that are Texans that haven't been reached out to before, and is showing what really we have going for us. And I think it's the coolest thing a phone bank can be, is to hear 27 different languages, to welcome people into the community and really get everybody involved.
It's so exciting. I was talking to him yesterday, and when he said that, I said, what is phone banking and calling people? You have any stories? And he was like, the fact that many of these people have never been called before. They've never been asked to participate in our democracy. And so that's changing. We're really tapping into a whole different pool of people who have been excluded or suppressed, right? If you're in a community of color, that's on purpose. You're not participating because there's voter suppression is alive and well in Texas. Governor Abbott has really done a horrible job at making voting accessible to every single Texan. He's doing a disservice to democracy, and he's doing a disservice to Texas by not allowing every single voice to be heard. By closing drop-off ballots, having one for a county that has 4 million people. If I'm a single mom raising kids with a job, taking care of grandma and grandpa because of COVID, cooking, homeschooling, working, I don't have 4 hours to spend to vote. I don't have 4 hours to go wait in line. We have to make it easier for people to vote, not harder.
I couldn't agree more. And if people really want to understand how big that Houston, Harris County is, it's the size of Rhode Island. So it's taking all of Rhode Island and putting one ballot drop off to it. In no way does that seem fair to anybody. And it's clearly suppression. And it's why it's so important we're all turning out and planting our votes.
Absolutely. And you know what? Wendy Davis should be our governor right now. That's what I say. It would be a much mistake.
She is such a passionate and comes from such a powerful story that really represents Texas. She really is such a joy to listen to and inspirational and standing up for women like no one has before. And she really should be our governor. But luckily, she's going to be representing us in the U.S. House. Yeah. And I was so excited to vote for her. And I actually talked to her 2 days ago, and she's really just such an amazing woman.
She really is. She's a warrior. She's a joyful warrior.
Okay, Eva, I do have some Texas questions for you.
Okay.
Because I know you grew up here, and so I just want to start off with an easy one. In high school, were you a Whataburger or a Sonic person?
Oh, Whataburger. I'm still a Whataburger girl. Whataburger, Whataburger, Whataburger. I will say when I went to college, I became a Sonic girl because that was the only place in town in Kingsville. It was a Sonic place. I was like, all right. But I am a Whataburger girl all the way.
Do you have a go-to order? What do you get? And what time are you at this Whataburger?
What time?
Yeah,
that's a good question. That's a very fair question because it's usually late at night. Onion rings are a must. I'm always like an onion ring fan. And I also, it's so funny. I love the chicken strips because of that gravy and Texas toast. And I really don't get it for the chicken strips. I get it for the Texas toast and the gravy. So I dip it in there. But I'm a Whataburger with cheese girl. Whataburger with cheese. That's my thing. That's my order.
I love it. And so I know you're from Corpus. Is it like taboo or to talk about South Padre, or have you gone there, or do you just have to stick with your roots and your beach?
No. We went to South Padre a lot. Because also in college, that was the place to go. You know, our beach wasn't really the college destination in Corpus, but I have such fond memories of Corpus Christi. And I remember, we have a beautiful waterfront that now has a Selena statue that I love visiting. And that's where I liked going. I didn't really go to the beach as much as I went to the waterfront. And we used to watch 4th of July fireworks from the waterfront. Every parade was at the waterfront. I was in band and I was a cheerleader. So, we had many visits down there. And I remember thinking those restaurants when I was young, were so expensive. We could never eat at a restaurant on the waterfront. Like, oh my God, there was an oyster bar, I remember. And the first time I was able to go back to Corpus and I had some money, I was like, I'm taking my mom to one of those waterfront restaurants.
We're going big tonight. We're going
big. We might do Red Lobster. We're going big. Yeah.
Well, what is something that you think you learned growing up in Texas that has really helped you create your career that you've had? And what do you think Texas has to offer as far as like growing up in that's been so helpful?
I will say growing up in Texas made me a patriot. I mean, it made me real proud to be an American and to be a Texan. There's so much pride in our state and where we came from and history. There's so much Mexican-American history in Texas. And I was really proud of that. And I've carried that with me throughout my life and throughout my career. And hard work. There's a lot of hard workers in Texas. A lot of people don't know hard work like Texans do.
Absolutely. Well, and so could you talk about what you think, you mentioned the Texas Mexican. Could you talk about the Latinx vote and really what you're seeing as you're doing these interviews and what you really think is the future of the Latinx vote?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a big part of the Texas electorate. And we're not a monolithic group. You have so many different ethnicities within that Latinx community. And specifically with Texas, I think, specifically in South Texas too, to see firsthand what's happening at the border and the mishandling of what's happening at the border. You have one person, President Trump, who's putting children in cages being responsible for many of the deaths that are happening on the border, trying to build a wall that is pointless and costing taxpayers money. Mexico's not paying for it, I'll tell you that. And then you have Joe Biden, who's full of empathy and compassion and understands that we have an industry of agriculture completely dependent upon migrant labor. We have, Biden, who believes in reunification of families. He believes mothers should be with their children. Under Trump's administration, there's 545 children who will never find their parents again. That is scarring and painful for life. It is inhumane. And I think that, the horrific tragedies that are happening at the border is irresponsible and inhumane. And as a mother, if you are a mother out there, to just imagine a child being ripped from your arms and put in a cage 2 feet from you, 3 feet from you, crying, and you cannot hold or console them, that's heartbreaking. The pain that Trump has caused these children will be felt for the rest of their lives. So I say, shame on you for creating that pain in these children's hearts. They don't deserve that. And I think, we need a president with empathy and compassion, and we need a pathway for guest workers, for not just for citizenship. There should be a pathway to citizenship, but there's a lot of migrant workers who don't care to become citizens. They just don't want to live in the shadows. They just don't want to be deemed illegal. They want to come do work that Americans won't do and go back home. And there's nothing wrong with making a living. And I think we need a pathway to that. We need a solution for that, because our immigration system is broken. When people say, get in the back of the line, there is no line. They don't understand. There's no line. There's no rhyme or reason to what's happening at the border right now.
Well, I appreciate your words so much, Eva. We love to see Texans who have lived their truth and they've come back and seen really the power Texas has, and really the ability to raise our voices to stand for what is right and what we truly believe Texas is standing for.
And I will say, Texas is going through a spike right now with COVID. And so we need a president who has a plan, not who's somebody who surrenders and goes, I don't know what to do, so, well, who cares? No, we need to take this very seriously. 18,000 Texans have died because of COVID, and disproportionately a lot from the Latinx community. And so we need a plan moving forward. And Biden's the only person who has that plan. We need a plan to build back the economy stronger. We need a plan that's going to deal with the healthcare issues now that we have Amy Barrett in the Supreme Court who wants to dismantle the Affordable Care Act during a global pandemic. Do you know how many people will lose their health insurance? How many Texans will lose their health insurance? And so I just think that there's just one clear choice in uniting this country, in building back the economy to where it needs to be, and an economy that works for everybody, not the wealthy and not Wall Street, for the working American families like Texans.
Yep, and we only can make this happen by voting, and we really have the chance to do it. And so I got one final question for you, Eva.
Okay.
Do you remember your first time voting?
I do. I do. It was for Clinton. And I remember volunteering and phone banking and canvassing also that election. And I remember being excited because Gore and Al Gore and Bill Clinton felt so young. Like I remember them, like they're cool. They were cool and young, and they had so much vision for what the country should be. They still do today, by the way. If you get to talk with Al Gore, his, how he wants to move America standing up in the world, and obviously with his advocacy in climate change, in global warming, I think that it's important to have those visionaries. So imagine how long ago that was and how visionary they still are today.
Yeah, it's truly impressive leadership. And it's candidates like that are so fun to volunteer for. People can still volunteer. We need shifts filled. If you want to volunteer, go check out our website. And if anything, make sure you have a plan to vote, everybody. You can go to mytexasvotes.com, find your closest polling place. If you have any trouble, Texas also has a hotline, which is 844-TX-VOTES. You can call it any time a voting location is open, and someone will be there to help you to make sure you have the right documents. Voting can be complicated, but we're here to help to make sure everybody gets their vote counted. Everybody gets their voice in this election. And thank you again so much, Eva. Do you have any final words or any final thoughts
Thank you.
for us?
I will say, if you have already voted, so you've already done your part, and you're like, I'm done, I'm great. You're not done. It's your job to text and call and email your friends, your family, your neighbors to make sure they have a voting plan and help them out. They may not know where to go. They may not know what ID they need. They may not know the down ballot candidates. Help them out. So you still have a job to do if you've already voted. Because I think 50% of Texans have already voted, but the work doesn't stop there. Call your neighbor, call your friends. We know that is the most effective way to get a bigger turnout.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much for joining.
We'll be watching you, Texas. We're watching you.
We're going to bring it home. We're going to get Biden in the White House. We're so excited.
Could you imagine Texas is responsible for that? That would be a great headline on November 4th.
I want to see it. I want to see it.
All right. Y'all be safe in Texas. Take care.
You as well.